There is no law and order in this town. The criminals running the show. I'm well armed, legally armed. And I promise you, somebody step foot, try to do something, I will do something about it. There's no other choice for me to do.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about what is my favorite kind of story to talk about by far, which is a good old-fashioned Second Amendment F around and find out story, okay? Because this story right here, or a couple stories I got to talk about, is a tale of two businesses in Oakland. Now, as we all know, Oakland is one of these liberal cities that have descended into chaos and destruction because of the woke progressives running the city into the ground with progressive criminal justice reform, which I believe is the biggest domestic terror threat to this country, okay? The reason why a lot of these cities are having problems is because they are too soft on crime. So you have the criminals running these cities. And I've done stories about how these Oakland business owners are getting fed up because there is no law and order in these liberal cities, okay? In Oakland, where essentially there's been pressure to defund the police, you have a lot of law enforcement that have quit their jobs. They're not even responding to phone calls, okay? And because of that, again, criminals have become emboldened. They know that, if they rob a store, it's unlikely that the police will be there in time to stop them. And if the police do catch them, which again is unlikely, then they're probably going to get a slap on the wrist, okay? It's like catch and release. So then they repeat the same thing over and over and over again, and you have business owners that are fed up, okay? And it's gotten to the point now where some of these business owners have essentially taken the red pill. They realize the reality of the situation, that they're living in a lawless city, and some of them are choosing to defend themselves, while others are choosing to rely on police and to be victims, okay? Because that's essentially what the choice is, okay? You can't rely on police. So again, you have a lot of business owners that say, you know what, I'm not going to be a victim. I'm not going to rely on police either. I'm going to establish my own law and order. I'm going to stand up to these criminals and make them pay, make them face consequences for trying to rob my business. So I want to talk about a couple of these stories. The first story I want to talk about is a business owner that decided to use his vehicle to stop the criminals who were trying to rob his business. But before we get into it, we have to have a word from the sponsor of this video that wants to help you protect yourself online, Virtual Shield. One of the big four mobile carriers has quietly updated their terms of service to include content that they don't agree with. That means starting now, they will fine users who commit perceived violations using their cell phone bandwidth. These fines can be as high as $500 per violation. And what's worse is that there's no clear understanding in regards to what content will or will not be deemed to be against their rules. This is why I highly recommend and use Virtual Shield. Virtual Shield is a military-grade VPN that allows me to browse the web without the prying eyes of my mobile cell phone carrier, internet service provider, or cyber criminals. My internet data is encrypted in just 2 clicks. Plus, my personal data is even safer with Virtual Shield's online data removal service and built-in ID monitoring service with up to $1 million in identity theft protection insurance. Ensuring my identity is held protected by the best. Try Virtual Shield risk-free for 60 days with no commitment necessary. That includes support for unlimited bandwidth, anonymous browsing, and fast internet speeds across all devices that have Virtual Shield installed. Try it now before signups end by going to virtualshield.com/BCP. Once again, that's virtualshield.com/BCP.
There is no law and order in this town. The criminals running the show.
Oakland business owner Sam Jabril says he's had enough. His Montclair gas station was hit by armed thieves overnight, despite the steel doors and locks he installed to try to stop them. The bad guys brought power tools to cut through.
They cut the locks. They have the tool to cut the locks. They went inside. They caused so much damage.
After calling 911 and getting a busy signal, Jabril drove to his store himself and used his truck to try to stop the crooks. He stopped them from getting away with even more merchandise.
I took my truck. I pushed their cars. Was parking that on the front of the store, and they came out.
These are organized criminals. This is organized crime.
Daniel Swafford is the executive director of the Montclair and Laurel District Business Associations. He says it's the 6th area business hit in the past week. In many cases, surveillance cameras capturing them in action.
Having this brazen sense of they can do whatever they want, anytime they want, and businesses are reeling from it.
We just need to live safe. We need to live without fear, to do business.
Wahid Al-Saidi's auto shop was targeted a few months ago. He says crime in Oakland is completely out of control.
It's arising, unbelievable. Why it's arising, we don't know. We need to see some solution. We just want to see some peace.
Jabrill's High Street gas station was broke into just last October. The bad guys used a car to break in that time, making off with more than $130,000 in cash and merchandise. He says if the city won't act, he'll have to if the crooks strike again.
Shoot them. I'm well armed, legally armed. And I promise you, somebody step foot, try to do something, because the city won't do anything about it. I will do something about it. There's no other choice for me to do.
Yeah, so you see now you heard that, okay? This business owner had his gas station broken into and $130,000 stolen. $130,000 in cash. Now, again, this guy and a bunch of other business owners are saying, look, the city's not doing anything about it, okay? And, hey, I got questions about who'd you vote for, right? Who did you vote for, okay? Because, again, if you voted for the progressives that are running that city, then, hey, you got to take some of the blame for why this is happening. But I don't blame them for now getting to the point where they're saying, look, I have to take matters into my own hands because police are not doing enough, right? They can't help. The city can't help. Nobody's doing anything about it. It's getting out of control. And unfortunately, they're saying that, look, I'm going to have to start shooting criminals, right? And that is what some business owners are doing in Oakland, like in this story right here, where a Oakland jewelry store clerk actually got in a shootout with would-be robbers. So let's react to this.
A shootout in an Oakland jewelry store caught on video. A worker opens fire on 2 men trying to rob the business. Our crime reporter Henry Lee is here now after speaking with the worker who fired at those intruders and scared them away. Henry.
Julie, he tells me he saw these guys running up to the store soon after he arrived to open up, and soon the bullets went flying. The bad guys were in and out of that place in just 5 seconds.
I saw 2 guys creeping up really quick, so I was like, it's a robbery.
2 armed men intent on robbing a jewelry store in Oakland's Fruitville neighborhood got more than they bargained for when a worker opened fire at them.
They told me, don't move or we'll shoot. So I started shooting at them because they had the gun pointed at me. They were shooting back. It was going back and forth for about like 20 seconds.
It all happened at MSM Jewelry near 41st and International at about 10 Monday morning. The worker, who didn't want his face shown, says he saw this Toyota Camry pull up on the wrong side of the street, right outside his shop.
I draw my weapon.
He says he fired the first shot from his 9mm handgun. He says the men then fired about 20 shots at him. One with a .40 caliber handgun with a drum magazine. The other had a 9mm with an extended magazine. These large capacity magazines are illegal.
I ducked, right? And then I waited to see him like kind of scrambling. The other guy was still shooting. Then I popped my head out and shot 7 more.
In their scramble to escape, one man left one of his shoes behind. The worker believes he shot this guy in the shoulder. The same man was also hit by his own getaway car driven by a third person. Oakland police took a report. Officers did not cite or arrest the worker.
They said you did the right thing. They said you did everything right. They said, we're just going to take your guns till investigation's done, but I have more.
The shot.
Wow. Wow. Again, the police are taking the guy's guns. I guess they're using the guns to investigate, which, hey, good thing he has more guns, right? Because I would be pissed if police took my guns after telling me that, hey, you did the right thing, okay? You defended yourself in your store. You defended your life against these, criminals. But yet we're going to take your gun. And, if you didn't have any more guns to defend yourself, then you would be defenseless, right? But, good thing this guy has more guns. And that's what he's saying. He's like, yeah, well, they can take that gun, but I got more, right? And I'm ready to defend myself. And that's what it's basically coming down to, right? That is what it's coming down to in these liberal cities where these business owners are now saying, look, I'm going to shoot first and ask questions last, okay? I'm not going to wait for the police. I'm not going to, try to depend on the city. No, no, no. This is what they're having to do. Okay, this is what happens when you don't have law and order. Okay, now the business owners have to enforce law and order because, again, police aren't able to do it, right? So this is what's happening in cities like Oakland. This is what, business owners are doing, and I don't blame them.
Shop is riddled with bullet holes on the walls, the floor, a mirror, and in a back room where the worker had some measure of protection.
It is what it is. It happened. I just don't want them to come back.
He had this message for the would-be robbers if they do return.
If you come back again trying to do the same thing, we're just going to defend ourselves. At this point, you have.
Now, anyone who recognizes these guys or has any other information is asked to contact Oakland Police. Live in studio, Henry Lee, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Yeah, it's just incredible video, Henry. Thank you.
Yeah, it is. It really is incredible video. I mean, it's one of those things where, again, it really is unfortunate that this is what it has to come down to. But, hey, it is what it is. And this is what the Second Amendment is for, right? This is what the Second Amendment is for. It's for these situations like this where people have to defend themselves against these crooks and these thieves and these robbers and these thugs and these criminals that have been emboldened by Democrat-run cities who have politicians, Democrats, progressives, that are running the city into the ground, right? Cities that, again, don't have any law and order. They're in chaos, and, this is a result of that. It is what it is. Okay, so again, when Democrats come out here and talk about banning guns and, trying to take away people's right to defend themselves, you got to show them stories like this in regards to how important it is for you to be able to defend yourself, especially if you are a business owner and you are trying to protect your assets, your business, your means of, feeding your family. But again, it's stories like this that, again, you have to highlight because this is the deterrent, right? The deterrent for criminals is knowing that business owners are armed and that this is the consequence. This is the consequence of trying to rob a business owner that is armed and ready, okay? They're not going to let you rob their business and call the cops and let the cops handle it. No, they're gonna handle it themselves on the spot, right? And some criminals have to F around and find out the hard way. It's unfortunate that it's come down to this, but hey, it is what it is. So hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.